What is up guys, Calum or Kilm's Fish Tanks, and I finally have a new video for you guys. I finished all my exams and I finally have time to set up this little tank I've had for a while. If you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, I've been teasing it. And it's going to be a little different than tanks I've done in the past. This is actually going to be a bioactive vivarium. And the plan is to have a drainage layer and get a bunch of immersed grown aquarium plants as well as vivarium plants. So I'm probably going to have to put saran wrap over it, but then make a beautiful scape in it. It's a UNS 5-gallon tank. I got it from Steel City Scapes, who I'll have their website down below. And I'm super excited to get started. So let's talk a little bit about specs. The thing that's nice about a vivarium is I don't have to worry about filtration or anything. And I just have a desk lamp over it with a LED grow bulb that should be fine for all the plants. And then eventually I may upgrade, but for now that should be good. But let's get started setting this thing up. So one important thing for a vivarium to be successful is a drainage layer. This is a layer that creates a little buffer between your soil and where the water pools to. Having pooling water in the soil can be very dangerous for vivarium plants because it will cause diseases like root rot or funguses at the roots. And to create a layer between where the water goes to and the soil, I'm going to be using these clay pellets. So these are leca pellets, and I'm just going to put down a thin layer all around the bottom and then use some mesh to create a barrier between the two so soil can't drop down into these. And then, where'd I put that? Oh yeah, here it is. And then I have this little PVC tube. I didn't want to buy a whole tube of it, so I bought 2 connectors and just put electrical tape on them and drilled holes along the bottom. And this way I can stick in my tube I use for water changes and then suck all the water out of the bottom so it doesn't build up. So now that the drainage layer is in, I also added a layer of aluminum mesh. This will not rust, and it will also just prevent further roots from getting down into the drainage layer. It's pretty, I put 2 layers to make it more finer so roots are less likely to get through. And then after this, I'm going to add some charcoal from this little springtail culture, as well as some springtails themselves. And then I'm going to add my substrate. So I've got 2 different kinds I'm going to be using. First up, I have some eco earth, which I mixed with a little bit of sand to increase the drainage, as well as Tropica aquarium soil, which is going to add extra nutrients to the soil to make it better for the plants. And then on top of that, I think I'm going to cap the whole thing with Tropica powder type aquarium soil, because that stuff just looks awesome. And then we can get our hardscape in, and then we'll get to scaping this thing. Honestly, I didn't expect this tank to really turn out like this. I didn't think I'd be having that much substrate in it. It's kind of, I spent a lot of money on this beautiful glass tank, and it's becoming a planter. Or just a box full of dirt with plants coming out of it. But honestly, I think I can turn it around. Hopefully the hardscape will make it look nice. And that's what we're going to be adding next. So these are dragon stones. And you can kind of see some of the super glue. And I've attached Sangani roots to them that I've cut up into small pieces. I got these Sangani roots from Aquarium Canada. So if you're in Canada, you can get those from them. And I've just got 2 big pieces that I'm going to put one on each side. And then I'm going to add little details, and then I'll start planting. So now the hardscape's in. We've got these nice big pieces of dragonstone. I used some little structures to balance them. And the hard part with this tank is going to be lighting it, since I've had to raise my light already so much. And I'm still getting way too much shadows. So there's going to be areas that it's going to be hard to grow plants in. But next up, I'm going to be adding some moss to these pieces of dragonstone, make them look a little bit more aged. I collected this stuff way back, so hopefully most of it's still alive. I haven't even checked on it in forever, and I'm just going to stick it into the creases of the dragonstone and hope it grows and takes over this vivarium. Folks, I'm exhausted. This whole process has taken me about 3.5 hours. Not bad. But the tank is finally set up. I've got all the plants in here, and I'm going to go through them in a second. But one thing I'm going to have to do with this tank, because I'm using a lot of aquarium plants, is I'm going to have to make it in immersed conditions. So the humidity is going to need to be super high. And it's going to be hard to do with all these big pieces coming out of the tank, but I'm just going to try to saran wrap it to keep the humidity up so these plants can transition into an immersed state and become hardier, and then I'll slowly start exposing this to a bit more and more air, and then hopefully I'll be able to get the saran wrap off eventually so I can actually see in this thing all the time. And I'm going to keep you updated on this. I don't know what kind of troubles I can run into. There may be some interesting things, so I'll keep you guys updated on this if anything does happen. But let's talk about the plants. So first off, let's talk about the aquarium plants I have in here. So we have Hygrophila araguaia, which gets a really nice purplish color in the aquarium, but I think in these immersed setups it'll stay mainly greenish or a little bronzish. And then we also have Eliocharis acicularis mini, or dwarf hairgrass, which is much easier to say. And I don't know if that'll carpet in here. I'm excited to see if it'll carpet or get any bigger. If not, I'm fine with just a couple sprouts of grass. Hopefully the moss will take over if that's the case. And then I have a ton of moss in here, which I went and collected from a forest near my house, like I said a while ago. No idea what the species are, but hopefully it'll do well. And then I have a couple of vivarium plants in here. I've got Pilea aquamarine, which is very cool. It's got a reddish orange stem and like bluish leaves. And then Peperomia pixie, which is this plant in the background here. And it gets a nice lime green, and it's going to be the biggest plant in this tank. Eventually, if the immersed plants do well, I may add some Bucephalandra and other things. I've got some room in this back corner over here. I could add some stuff. So I don't know. I don't know how this tank's going to go. I'm excited to test it out. And it's a nice switch up from the aquariums. Big shout out to Dan from Steel City Scapes, because without him I never would have got this tank. It was a tank he had a scape set up on, but I told him I was looking for one, so he took down his scape and sent it over to me. So thank you very much to Dan over at Steel City Scapes. Like I mentioned, I'll have him in the description below. But yeah, that pretty much does it. If you guys want to see more close-up pictures, make sure to check out my Instagram. I should be posting a bunch. And then I'm also going to be posting a condensed version of this video with just the scaping of it on TikTok. I post there almost every day, and I'm at like 18,000 followers. So if you're not following me on TikTok, go check it out. That's where a lot of my effort's been going. I just don't have time to make and edit big YouTube videos all the time anymore, but I still do it here and there. But most of the time I'm over on TikTok. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. This was Calum's Fish Tanks. Peace.